Hi, everyone. We are live. Happy Tuesday. Though, if you're watching the replay on Instagram, happy day, whatever it is. I am Violette Ayala, the founder of Femcity, and you're joining me today for our panel conversation. It is the month of June, and so we're getting close to the end of the year. So today we're going to talk about how we can go ahead and realign ourselves for our 2023 goals or goal. And the reason why we're talking about that this month is because it's the mid-year point. It's the point where, we've maybe lost track of our goal. We've gotten a little bit overwhelmed. We forgot why we wanted that goal. And this is the great time to spend your energy and your attention on your goals so that by the end of the year, you're setting yourself up for success. We want you to accomplish your goals. We want to see you thrive. We want to see you make lots of money. And that is our intention for you today. So we already have some love. We don't know who it came from, but hey, pretty ladies, we'll take that. We'll take that love. Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us. I have asked two of our Femcity Global members and experts to join us today in the conversation. If you're watching the replay, you can always ask us questions. You don't have to, join us live for that. You can always reach out to any of us if you have any questions. And of course, if there's anything we can do in the future to help your success, reach out to us as well. So let's go ahead and get started. We've got Stephanie and Tavia joining us today. Stephanie, share a little bit about who you are for those that don't know you.
Sure. So my business is financial planning for women on their own. And I really do specialize in women kind of age 50 and up, because I find that the women on their own have no one to talk to about their money. It's not just the investments. It's all the stuff that involves money. So that's what I do.
Yeah, awesome. And she's got a great podcast, an award-winning podcast, and she has been a part of our Femcity Global program for so long that we have tons of classes that she's taught over at the Femcity Library. So definitely check those out. You can search by her name or just using the word money, and her classes will show up. They're always really great. And Tavia is new to our Femcity Global program. We're so excited. It's her first time joining us in the panel. Tavia, share a little bit about yourself as well.
Perfect. Thank you so much. All right. So my name's Tavia. I am Canadian. I always find that a fun fact because I am living in the US full time, which is typically rare. My business is all about a wealth blueprint. So I work predominantly in e-commerce. So I help people really focus on eliminating their toxic load, but then there's a wealth creation component platform through that I just love sharing with people because it's definitely helped a lot and me along our journey.
Awesome. Love it. Love it. And thank you so much for joining us. All right. So we're going to dive in. So again, our topic for today is all about how we can go ahead and get closer to our goals. What's that self-check that we need to do? So my question for our experts is, what's that one thing we can do today? Because we love action, right? What's something that we can all do today to get closer to our goals? Again, so that we can achieve them, flourish, grow, and add money in our pocket. Let's go with Stephanie.
So as a financial planner, I focus a lot on goals. And honestly, we're taught to focus on goals with a price tag, whether it's acquiring a thing like a nicer house or doing something that costs money like a big trip. And what I find, both kind of for motivation, but also for kind of reevaluating, is if I encourage clients to think a little bit deeper. What's the core desires behind the goal? Bigger house. Okay, what's the actual desire behind that? Oh, so my kids can each have their own room and we have room to entertain. Okay, that's something we can work with, both in the, motivating you to move towards it, but also in the maybe we can be flexible or creative about how to achieve those things. So believe me, I have plenty of times gotten partway through the year and be like, wait, goals? I had goals? There was some piece of paper I wrote down stuff in January. So be gentle with yourself. Go back, take a look at them, reevaluate. Does this still make sense to me? And what's the why behind them? I think it's a good first step.
I love, and I'm taking notes. I love that you mentioned defining it a bit more, because I see people that will use the word manifest because we've heard that it's that term, that trend, but when we manifest for something specific, sometimes when we miss the why and the deeper details, we get that thing, but then we're like, oh, wait, that's not what I wanted. Like I wanted more space for my kids and my house. And so I love that you are telling them to just dig a little bit deeper into just like that superficial quantifiable or, price tagged item,
Yeah.
dig a little bit deeper, like, why do you want that? And I love that because it's also bringing up emotions, and it's also reconfirming that indeed it still falls into place with what you see yourself or how you see yourself living, because our goals change. I am a different person than I was January 1st of this year, right? Experiences, evolution. I hope I'm a little bit better of a person, of a better human. But I love that you mentioned that, just digging a little bit deeper, really going in and why do you want it, connecting your emotions to it, and being specific. I love it. And opening your mind, right? Being more flexible versus like, I want a house on this street.
Right.
Like expanding, because maybe there is a better option for you on another street. So
Yep.
Love that. All right, let's go to Tavia. Tavia, what is your advice as to what we can do starting today to get closer to our 2023 goals?
Perfect. I love, Stephanie, everything that you said, because it's so true. It's so much bigger than that thing written on paper, right? So a couple things. I mean, I always look to see, Violet, you mentioned it, what was the original goal? Why did we set it? What was the emotional attachment to it? And you're right, giving yourself the space to progress. So I look at it as, those goals and dreams are sometimes really big, right? At the beginning of the year, we come off and we're just really excited, right? And we put sometimes these monstrous goals, those big dangling carrots to us, sometimes are, hey, maybe we'll hit it, but what happens if we don't? So I mostly look at it like, who do you become along the way? What little boxes can you check along the way? Because if you only look at the goal as the destination, you lose all the juiciness in between. Like, that's where the growth is, right? And sometimes they're valleys, because those goals were put in your heart and your mind for a reason. And they're the mountaintop, right? And not everything, especially as an entrepreneur, is uphill, right? There's a lot of, we've seen that diagram, right? It's a lot like this. So who are you in those valleys? What do you discover about yourself? And what is it? It can't be a one thing. What are you really chasing? Because that's going to really continue. The other piece as well is, I'm big about making it super visual. So like, I'm looking right now in front of me at my vision board. Am I going to check off every single thing? No, but they're there to inspire me to keep on dreaming, to think bigger. If I only had one thing on there, I mean, it would be really challenging. I would wake up and I wouldn't think about anything else, which is maybe a good thing, but then I'm going to be devastated if it doesn't happen. So who do I want to become? What kind of an impact do I want to make? What are the key words? What are the things that I want to be able to step into, that I want to be able to map and see a little bit of progress like that? I think so. How we look at our goals, it can't just be one thing. It has to be an accumulation of multiple things, and really celebrate the little wins and the progress that you're making along the way.
Yeah, I love the celebrating the little wins. Gosh, I mean, I got chills when you said that. I find that, and I say women because I've only worked with women. I've been doing Femcity for 14 years. And then before that, I owned a Pilates studio for 10 for women only. So I that's where I say for women, it's been 25 years. But I see women when they are going after a goal, the little micro wins along the way, they don't celebrate those because it's not the goal, right? It's not that thing. I haven't gotten to it yet. And I also see that we have these like beautiful little successes every single day. That time that you showed up to make that cold call that made you really nervous. That time that you sent out a proposal that, you upped your price a little bit and you thought you were going to have like, diarrhea and vomit at the same time, right? Like those moments that happen to us as entrepreneurs, but we don't celebrate those wins. We're only waiting for that big piece in the sky. But the journey, as you mentioned, the evolution, that ride is what makes it such a blessing. It's not always just the big piece of the pie. It's just like the little bites that you get along the way. And going back to what I know Stephanie says all the time is give yourself grace and love. So I love that. So, all right. So we are wrapping up. Final advice that you have, Stephanie?
The other thing that we do in the financial planning world is when we're thinking about how to achieve a goal, the pre-planning is we always think about, well, what might get in the way? What could come up that gets in the way, whether it's an external factor or something internal, like, oh, I tend to get a little bit scared when I have to, quote a big new price to someone, or whatever it might be, right? And thinking about ahead of time when you're calm and rational, how could I put things in place to make that choke point, that like little difficult part, a little bit easier? So that's, I think, another helpful thing, when you're being all cool and looking at your planning, not in the heat of the moment, what things can you look back? Oh, I almost got there in February, but then I backed off because of whatever. right? What might I have in place next time so that I can have it a little smoother?
Yeah. Like improving the way that you relate, or the process, or the thinking process, just
Yeah.
improving that and saying, you know what? And that goes back, Stephanie, you always say, giving yourself grace, and that's giving yourself grace there too, is saying, you know what? Yeah, maybe I did that, but in the future, I know now I do better. What was that Maya Angelou quote? When you know better, you do better.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
And sometimes you need some little outside support, right? Can you have, whether it's a coach or an accountability partner, to call up, oh, I'm getting to the scary part again. They talk you down. That's always helpful too.
Yeah, absolutely. That's support. Tavia, your final advice as well.
Yeah, I mean, a couple things. It is how you view it is everything. So it's a marathon, not a sprint, right? Find your pace, because you are no good to anyone, and certainly not to your final goal if you burn out and just go at a pace that you cannot sustain. So, and the other thing around that is find joy in what you do. I mean, if you find yourself pursuing that goal and you're almost becoming unrecognizable, not in a good way though, in a way that feels icky, that you don't get excited about, that you don't want to wake up to, look at it, adjust it. Why is that happening? What are like external influences that are making you that way? So you have to find joy in the work in order to keep that pace and really, work towards it for the long haul.
Yeah, I love it. And also, when your energy is high, your vibe is high, I think it also attracts more opportunities, and people enjoy being around you. So they're going to share more referrals your way. So when we can keep our energies high, connecting to the joy of the work that we're doing, spinning it in our minds and making it so it's favorable for our action plans, it makes a huge difference with all things around you. So I love that. All right, Stephanie, how can Femmes find you to learn more about the work you're doing in this world?
So I would love if you check out my podcast. It's called Take Back Retirement, because when I was in college in the 80s, we had those Take Back the Night marches, which were against violence against women. So it's a little nod to my Gen Xers. It's on all the podcast platforms, Take Back Retirement, and check it out. Thank you.
Love it. Love it. And Tavia, how can Femmes find you to learn more about the work you're doing in this world?
Yes, for sure. Find me on Instagram, Tavia_Rogerson. I keep it really, really simple. And yeah, I would love to see you and connect on there.
Awesome. Thank you so much, ladies, for joining us today and sharing your wisdom and your advice for all of us. And again, for those that are watching the replay, you can reach out to any of us over at the Femcity Global Program. We're here to help you navigate these turbulent waters when it comes to small business ownership and entrepreneurship. And we will see you back here next week. Mwah! Bye.
Bye.